having a home inspection is one of the most essential things that you need to do when you're buying a home, but it can also be one of the scariest. This is where we see deals fall apart all the time because what the heck is a home inspection? When is it supposed to happen? What is worth getting fixed? What is something that you should walk away from? How do I know if I'm supposed to move forward? All of this can really lead to an overwhelming experience, so let's talk about it. If this is your first video of mine, my name's Chase Dolan. I'm a realtor up in the Boise, Idaho area. My goal with this channel is to really help you cut through all of the overwhelming stuff that real estate has, because this can be life-changing stuff for your financial future, as well as it could be a heck of a lot of fun to buy or sell a home and see what your family can do with it next. So what we're going to talk about today is the home inspection. So first question with this that I get all the time is, when does this happen? So one thing that it's important to note is that I'm a licensed realtor in Idaho. All of these topics, they're relatively similar as far as vocabulary and things across the country, but when it comes to timelines and specifics, you need to talk to a local expert that can walk you through yours, because my experience here in Idaho, everyone's a little bit different with their timelines and contingencies. But yeah, talk to a local expert on that. But as far as how it works typically, it's after you're in contract. So at least in Idaho, what happens is after you get an offer accepted, you now have a stipulated period of time that's in the contract. Think 5 to 7 business days to have an inspector come in, look at the home, see what's wrong with it, and then you as the buyer talk with your agent and decide what you want to do next. So really the first thing is that you need to find a third-party inspector. So a third-party inspector, there are companies everywhere that this is what they do. So you schedule with them, they come in, they figure out what's up with the house, what condition it's in. Something to keep in mind is that they can obviously only look at things that they can see. So around the bathrooms, in certain areas, if they see something as concerning, they can check for moisture behind walls. But when they're just in an office like this, if there's no sign of moisture in the walls, they can't see through them. So you never fully know. But what they look for is everything from plumbing, they look in your crawl space, attic, electrical, roof, everything that you need to feel good about the current status of the home. So you bring them in, and they kind of look at it. Eventually they'll give you a report, depending on what company you work with. It could be video, phone call, it could be a text report, whatever it is. Really at this point, you now, when you sit down with your agent, have 3 options. So the first option is that you can look at the report and say, you know what? We're good with that. We knew there were some small fixes, but we knew that when we made the offer. So let's move forward. Let's make this easy. You sign away your inspection contingency and you move on to the next step. Option 2 is, the roof is falling in. The house is about to fall over. We don't even care if the seller will fix it for us. We want nothing to do with this house. Let's back out. You can terminate the contract. And then option 3, and where we see a lot of these happen, is you can figure out how you want to get things repaired. So you can ask the seller to do repairs in a stipulated time frame before closing. You can ask them to lower the price to compensate for some repairs, or you can ask them to keep the price where it's at, but give you a concession at closing so that you can use that money to repair them yourself. All of this is personal preference. Talk with the seller, talk with your agent on what you want to do there. But these are kind of where we see is you can move forward, you can terminate the contract, or you can agree on repairs. So when we're looking at an inspection though, it's important to remember, what are we looking for? The way that I coach my clients through it is, think about when you were in middle school. The cool kid always had a pack of gum. You would walk up to them and say, hey, can I have a piece of gum? Most of the time, part of what made it so cool to have gum is you could say, yeah. Now your friends, they give you one piece of gum, you walk away happy. If you were to walk up to that kid and say, hey, can I have your entire pack of gum? They would look at you like you're crazy, they would say no, and now everybody's going to be against you. Think of the inspection the same way. If you're going to ask for every single little thing on that report, the seller's going to laugh and say, heck no, we'll find somebody else. If you look at it and you say, hey, these are the big things, these are smaller things, let's pick our battles and have them fix 1 or 2 of these big things, and acknowledge, as part of negotiation, acknowledge that all of these little things we're willing to take care of. We'll take that off your plate, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. When I talk to my clients though too, we always take it a step further and we really, again, think about where the market is right now. It's a really strong seller's market. But even this, I think, is a good way to look at this in a balanced market is we're really looking for health, safety, or major deterioration issues. So we're looking for a roof that is about to fall apart and you're gonna have to spend 20, 30 grand within the next few years. We're looking at, there's mold everywhere. The house itself is not safe, but also deterioration-wise, mold will eat away at your house over time. Or we're looking at, hey, deterioration issues, the foundation has a crack in it, so your house, instead of now being this, is starting to do this. Those are issues that we're looking for. And when I'm an agent and I'm talking to people, my goal with the inspection is to try and find any huge expenses that are going to come up in the next 3 to 5 years. When you're looking at a home, yes, a big one that happens is HVAC and a water heater. Well, the water heater is 10 years old, so we want them to replace that. Well, the water heater actually is working totally fine, and the fun part with all of those is they'll keep working, and some of them will die in year 11, some will die in year 20. So at that point, that's more preventative maintenance, which is partly your responsibility as a homeowner, which kind of leads into my next point of this is your first taste of owning a home. When I'm talking to first-time buyers in particular, they always like to talk about what's so great about owning a home versus renting, and don't get me wrong, I'm the biggest advocate for owning a home. But one of the fun things about renting is if something goes wrong, you call someone and they fix it. When you own the home, you have to figure that out, and that's just part of the game. That's part of owning a home. So when we're looking at the entire inspection list, and some lists really small, others will be really lengthy, think about them as what is a major expense that occurred while the seller was living there and they didn't take care of, or something that is hurting the health, safety, or the house itself. Think about those and then make a strategic ask so that you're not just nickel and diming everywhere, because that's where we see deals fall apart all the time and nobody's happy when that happens. And then that leads into my last point, and this is kind of a bonus for everyone, but it's the biggest piece of advice I think if you leave this video with is what you should take when you get into a home inspection. Don't let pride get in the way. So many times when it comes to negotiation and buying or selling a home, people just want to win. They just want to feel like they won, they got the better deal than the other party. And guess what? The goal of all of this is for a seller to sell their house and a buyer to get the house. We will figure out how to make that happen. And when it comes to the inspection, a lot of times we see things fall apart over pure pride. So when we're talking about some of the issues I talked about of foundation, roof, mold, major issues, if the seller doesn't want to fix them, okay, buyer, you can walk away. That's a $5,000 fix. That is not cheap. Let's find a home. What I'm talking about is there are times when we're coming down to a $150, $200 fix that people cannot agree upon. The seller either just won't do it because, heck, they just don't want to. It's a seller's market. And the buyer is like, you know what? We need the seller to give us something. As an agent and as your advisor, don't let this happen. Don't do it. Pride gets in the way of a lot of things in life. Don't let it get in the way of you closing on your home, because I guarantee when you actually move in, a lot of times, and what I tell people at closing is take those fixes one step at a time. Do the major things right now. Fix those. But also, you'll learn to live with them. Everything is under a microscope when you're going through inspection. When you actually live in the house, we forget about things all the time. Those $150 to, I would say, $500 fixes is where we see everything fall apart because they just need it to be fixed by the other party. We're talking about a $300,000, $400,000 home or higher, and we're getting caught on $500. So all that I can say is don't let pride get in the way. Think about the home as, can I live in the home and could I potentially fix it later? Or is it their responsibility and we will fight fiercely for you? All right, in summary, an inspection happens after you're in an offer. Once you get an inspection report back, you and your agent will decide what you want to do then. Do you want to move forward? Do you want to terminate the contract? Or do you want to figure out what needs to be fixed and work with the seller on that? When you're looking for them, look for big issues. Only ask for one piece of gum. Don't ask for the entire pack. And then keep pride out of it. Remember that the ultimate goal of all this is for you to buy a home that you feel comfortable with and the seller to sell the home at a price that they feel comfortable with. Let's meet in the middle. Real estate can be a win-win. And yeah, that's what an inspection is. It's a big part of the process, but it's also essential because we want to make sure that you know what kind of house you're getting at. So that's it for today. If I missed anything or if you don't agree with this, leave a comment below. And as always, subscribe. I'm trying to grow because real estate can be a life-changing thing, and it can also be a lot of fun to buy and sell. So I want to help people cut through that mess. So subscribe below. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one.